And I'm glad that for you, at least, there was a very quick connection between getting that diagnosis, and yes, you had an emotional response to that, but you were able to dive into the treatment very quickly.
And I think that's important. I think getting the diagnosis and then starting something right away, because the longer you sit and think about it, like, was this right? Is this not right? We were lucky.
And Benjamin is doing beautifully, his response to treatment. That's wonderful to hear. Well, thank you so much for spreading some of your hope with our audience today. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All parents have dreams for their children, and they may feel these hopes have been shattered when their child is diagnosed with autism. How do parents cope? Well, it's different for everyone. Many parents progress through the following stages: shock, helplessness, guilt, anger, grief, and finally active coping. Even before receiving an official diagnosis, most parents experience nagging suspicions that something's not quite right. At some point, these worries grew and parents began their quest for answers. Despite a sense of foreboding that their child might have autism, parents may nonetheless experience shock when they receive a formal diagnosis confirming their fears. During this initial stage of disbelief, it's hard to process information. Once the shock wears off, parents may experience a sense of helplessness. They can feel overwhelmed by the enormity of their child's diagnosis and incompetent to do anything about it. One mother told me, "I didn't know what to do, and I wouldn't have had the energy to do it, even if I did." Another emotion parents may grapple with is guilt. Despite intellectually knowing they are in no way responsible for their child's diagnosis, parents may begin to examine everything and anything they did or didn't do during the pregnancy or their child's infancy, which might be to blame. Sometimes each spouse secretly feels guilty, thinking that his or her genes might have been responsible for their child's disability. Or parents might feel guilty that they didn't pick up on their child's symptoms earlier. And the next stage is often anger, which can be a natural outgrowth of guilt. How could this happen to my helpless little child, and why can't my child be like the other children? Parents may experience anger towards their spouse, anger with the school or the medical community, or become angry with other parents whose children do not have autism. It's also natural for parents to sometimes feel frustrated and angry with their autistic child. The next stage is often feeling of grief. There may be a sense of loss of the ideal, perfect child that parents had hoped for. Parents may experience a loss of dreams that they cherished for their child's future. Grief may wax and wane, and parents can experience fresh pain during certain milestones. But over time, grief becomes more bearable, and parents gradually move to the stage of active coping. Some parents move through these stages rather quickly, while others need more time. But eventually, parents come to terms with their child's diagnosis. A momentous fact becomes clear that their child is exactly the same person he was before this formal diagnosis put a label on his condition. He hasn't lost a single one of the endearing qualities he's always possessed. Yes, he has unique challenges that will have to be faced, but parents can now let go of what cannot be changed and are now ready to direct their energy towards things that can be changed. Active coping involves the ability to balance a realistic understanding of the child's limitations with a sense of hopeful optimism. I'd like to conclude by reading a poem entitled "Searching for the Blue Fairy," written by Madeline Catalino, a mother of a young boy with a very severe form of autism. You may recall the Blue Fairy as a character in the book Pinocchio. Where are you, Blue Fairy, with your brilliant light? We need you to rescue us from this plight. Show us the way to make things right. Is there a happily ever after in sight? Turn our boy of wood into one who is real, a boy who can speak, understand, play, and feel. Research the cause, prescribe the treatment. We'll take action to achieve satisfaction, to have our boy real again as our dream. So please send down your luminous beam from the faraway wishing star and touch him with your magic wherever you are.
Parents have told us that the most overwhelming stage after receiving a diagnosis is determining what course of treatment to take. While the internet is a marvelous resource, the number of interventions to research can be mind-numbing. In order to make sense of all of the options, we recommend using evidence-based practice. Now, many people seek out popularity over proof when looking for an intervention. In pursuing this route, precious time and money can be wasted on treatments that are not valid. When looking at treatments, one should look for indications that there is direct testing of an intervention. Objective, accurate, and reliable measures should be used, and that others have replicated the intervention successfully. The New York State Department of Health has compiled a list of a variety of different treatments offered for families of children with autism. The list includes treatments ranging from applied behavior analysis, or ABA, to music therapy. All therapies are graded based upon the amount of evidence supporting the treatments. Ratings can range from an A, meaning strong evidence, to a C, meaning limited evidence. Documents such as these can help parents sort through the variety of treatment options that are available to them. Stay tuned to the end of the show for a list of resources that will help in the decision-making process to determine a course of action for your child. ABA, or Applied Behavior Analysis, is the most effective intervention for children with autism. This is the route the Haddad family decided to take for their son Benjamin. It is rooted in data, and it meets the criteria for evidence-based practice. If you'd like to see ABA firsthand, tours of the Hope Center are available Mondays and Fridays each week. To schedule a tour, contact the Hope Center at 248-691-8104. We are all bound together by friendship or family. At some point in your life, you will be touched by autism. And when that time comes, be open, be educated, be kind, and never give up on hope.
With every breaking dawn, a brand new child is born. Someday they'll be full of hopes and dreams. It won't be very long till they move out on their own, 'cause that's the way that life's supposed to be. But something isn't right. There's a lost look in their eyes. They're crying out, why can't you just see?